Hello students, today's topic is lung volumes and capacities. Lung volume or pulmonary volumes and capacities, a simple method for studying pulmonary ventilation, is to record the volume movement of the air into and out of the lungs. You all are doing this in our physiology laboratory, and this process is called spirometry, and the name of the instrument is spirometer. We have Hutchinson's spirometer in our laboratory. All pulmonary volumes and capacities are about 20% lower in female than in male due to more muscular development in male. It is also more in athletic persons than in small and asthenic people. Now let us start discussing various volumes one by one. First is the tidal volume. It is the volume of air inspired or expired during a normal inspiration or expiration. Normal value is 500 ml. Second is inspiratory reserve volume. It is the amount of air inspired forcefully after inspiration of normal tidal volume. Normal value is 3 liters. Third one is expiratory reserve volume. It is the amount of air forcefully expired after expiration of normal tidal volume. Normal value is 1100 ml. Next is residual volume. It is the volume of air remaining in the respiratory passages and lungs after the most forceful expiration. Normal value is 1200 ml. Now let us discuss few capacities. First is inspiratory capacity. It is the maximum volume of air that can be inspired after normal tidal expiration. So inspiratory capacity is equal to tidal volume plus inspiratory reserve volume, and normal value is 3500 ml. Then functional residual capacity. It is the amount of air that remains in the lungs at the end of normal expiration. It is equal to expiratory reserve volume plus residual volume, and the normal value is 2300 ml. Now this functional residual capacity is a significant parameter. Now what is the significance is continuous exchange of the gas is possible because some part of the air always remains in the lungs. Then breath holding is possible. Dilution of the toxic inhaled gases. It decreases the load on the respiratory mechanism and heart. Then hyperinflation of the lungs increases functional residual capacity, like in old age, in emphysema, and in bronchial asthma. Our next capacity is vital capacity. The name itself indicates it is very important. Therefore, the name has been given vital. It is the maximum amount of the air a person can expel from the lungs after deepest possible inspiration. So, vital capacity is equal to tidal volume plus inspiratory reserve volume plus expiratory reserve volume. Normal value is 4600 ml. This parameter is frequently used clinically as an index of pulmonary function, and it gives information about strength of respiratory muscles. These are the various factors affecting vital capacity: size of the thoracic cavity, If the size is more, vital capacity is more. Then age, with the age, vital capacity will decreases. Then strength of respiratory muscles. In athletic persons, due to more strength of respiratory muscles, vital capacity will be more. Then effect of gravity. Now, when person is in supine position, the diaphragm comes slightly upwards and it will decrease vital capacity. And when person is in standing position, due to effect of gravity, diaphragm comes downwards, so there will be more space in the thoracic cavity, so vital capacity increases. During pregnancy, due to gravid uterus, diaphragm comes upward and vital capacity decreases. Then ascites, it is an abnormal condition in which excessive collection of fluid in the abdominal cavity. So again diaphragm comes upward and vital capacity decreases. And in many pulmonary diseases, vital capacity decreases. Then total lung capacity. It is the volume of air present in the lungs after maximal inspiration. So it will be equal to sum of inspiratory reserve volume, expiratory reserve volume, tidal volume and residual volume. Or you can say it is equal to vital capacity plus residual volume. Normal value will be around 6 liters. So this is a diagram of an instrument named spirometer. The left one you are familiar with. It is available in our laboratory. It is called Hutchinson's spirometer. The instrument on the right side is Med-Spirer, digital instrument having same purpose. Now see the details of the instrument. There are two drums visible. One drum is filled with water and another drum, which is inverted drum, is filled with air and it floats on inside the water of another drum. Now when person goes with inspiration, air will be sucked and drum will come downward. And when person do expiration, air will enter into the drum and drum will go upwards. According to the movement of the drum, you will get a result on a scale and you will also get a graph. You can see during inspiration, upward graph is visible and during expiration, downward graph is visible. Remember this: residual volume, functional residual capacity and total lung capacity cannot be measured by conventional spirometry because the amount of the air which remains in the lung, which does not come out, cannot be measured here. So it is residual volume. Residual volume cannot be measured, therefore functional residual capacity and total lung capacity cannot be measured. Now how to measure them? So they are measured by another methods. They are called helium dilution method and nitrogen washout method. Now this is a spirogram obtained by spirometry. You can see various lung volumes and capacities over here. So you can also see their normal values on left side. So you can see the normal respiration having normal expiration and normal inspiration is called tidal volume. And you can see on the right side total lung capacity and then various subdivisions of capacities. So what is capacity is addition of more than one volume, while what is volume is a single individual parameter. Now what we have discussed so far are static volumes and capacities. Similarly, we have dynamic volumes and capacities. So those who are purely on volume based, they are static, while those which are based on time, they are dynamic. Now let us discuss what are dynamic lung volumes and capacities. So first is FVC, forced vital capacity. It is also called timed vital capacity. It is the volume of air that can be expired rapidly with a maximum force following a maximum inspiration. This FVC is divided into three components. First is FEV1. Full form is forced expiratory volume in first second. It is the fraction of vital capacity expired during first second of a forceful expiration. It is about 80% of FVC. It is the most commonly used screening test for airway diseases, and it is used to differentiate obstructive and restrictive lung diseases. FEV2 means forced expiratory volume in second, and it is about 90% of FVC. And FEV3 means forced expiratory volume in third second. It is about 98 to 100% of FVC. Now these are the examples of various obstructive lung diseases: asthma, COPD, cystic fibrosis, bronchiolitis, bronchiectasis. These all are obstructive lung disorders. Now what are the restrictive lung disorders? So they are further divided into subtypes like intrinsic restrictive lung disorders like sarcoidosis, fibrosis, interstitial pneumonitis, TB, pneumonia. So these are intrinsic restrictive lung disorders. Then comes extrinsic restrictive lung disorders like scoliosis, kyphosis, ankylosing spondylitis, pleural effusion. Then pregnancy is not a disorder, but sometimes during pregnancy there is restriction in the respiratory movements. Similarly, gross obesity will do the same thing. Then some tumors, ascites, pain during inspiration due to pleurisy or rib fractures. These all are extrinsic restrictive lung disorders. Then neuromuscular restrictive lung disorders like generalized weakness due to malnutrition, paralysis of the diaphragm, myasthenia gravis, muscular dystrophy, polio, amyotrophic lateral sclerosis. Now see this table. What is the difference between obstruction and restriction? So FEV1 will be reduced in both the cases, while the total FVC, forced vital capacity, it will be normal in obstructive lung diseases and it will be reduced in restrictive lung diseases. Now there is a ratio FEV1 to FVC ratio. By this ratio you can judge whether this disease is obstructive or restrictive. You can see the ratio is decreased in obstructive lung diseases and it will be normal in restrictive lung diseases. These are the graphs obtained by computerized spirometry. You can see just by shape of the graph we may have some idea whether the person is having obstruction or restriction. So you can see the red color graph is of normal person and white color graph is actual obtained graph. So in obstruction you can see the shape of the graph is entirely different and total FVC value is normal, but FEV1 is reduced and therefore the ratio of FEV1 to FVC is reduced. While in restrictive lung diseases you can see FeV1 and FVC both are reduced. So ultimately the ratio is near normal. Then comes FEF, forced expiratory flow during 25 to 75% of expiration. It means expiratory flow rate during middle 50% of forced vital capacity. Normal value is 300 liter per minute. Then comes mid expiratory time. It is the time taken for above described parameter, and normal value is 0.5 second, and it is increased in obstructive lung diseases. Next is pulmonary ventilation. It is also called minute ventilation. It is the total amount of the air moved into and out of the respiratory system in 1 minute. It is called respiratory minute volume. And respiratory minute volume is equal to tidal volume multiplied by respiratory rate. Normal value is 6 to 7.5 liter per minute. Next is maximum breathing capacity or maximum voluntary ventilation. It is the maximum volume of air that can be ventilated on command in 1 minute. Normal value is 80 to 170 liters per minute. It is reduced in emphysema, airway obstruction, poor muscle strength, etc. Then pulmonary reserve or breathing reserve. It refers to maximum amount of the air above the pulmonary ventilation that can be inspired or expired in 1 minute. So pulmonary reserve is equal to maximum voluntary ventilation minus pulmonary ventilation. Now this pulmonary reserve is expressed as percentage of maximum voluntary ventilation, and it is known as dyspnoic index. Dyspnoic index is equal to maximum voluntary ventilation minus pulmonary ventilation divided by maximum voluntary ventilation into 100, and normal value is 60 to 90 percentage. When this value falls below 60 percentage, dyspnea occurs. Next is closing volume. Before describing the closing volume, let us discuss closing capacity. Lung volume at which the airways begins to collapse during a forceful expiration is called closing capacity. Now closing volume is equal to closing capacity minus residual volume. Value is 500 ml, approximately 10% of vital capacity.